What is up, Jamily? Welcome to episode 8, the final episode of this new revisitation series of every album in the Jamiroquai Discography. In this episode, of course, we'll be dealing with the first album release of Jamiroquai's new album deal that they signed back in 2006-2007 with Universal Music here in the U.S. And of course, they ended up signing with Universal Music after finishing a nearly 6-album commitment with Sony Music, of course, and we all know the reasoning why they left Sony. But with this new Universal Music deal, we thought a new beginning for Jamiroquai. Maybe they'll keep doing groundbreaking music. But we come to, of course, the one of the big elephants in the room of the Jamiroquai discography, and there have been many conversations and discussions of this album within the Jamily. Most recently, we did do a vote on Facebook, or at least on some of the Facebook Jamiroquai fan groups, about their favorite, the one album that the most. Pretty much, we got a consensus of this would turn out to be one of the most polarizing albums, at least discussion-wise, in the Jamily from the over 27-year-long musical discography of Jamiroquai. And of course, I am talking about 2011's album Rock Dust Lightstar. Now, originally, this album's concept was simple. J.K. said in several interviews before the release of Rock Dust Lightstar that he wanted this album to be not necessarily a live album, but an album that they could play live. That sounded exactly what you would hear on the record if you go and see them live. The album itself, Rock Dust Lightstar, it's probably the most mixed bag album in the catalog, and the reason this album gets so much polarization is because not a lot of fans like it. A lot of fans would do like their favorite album lists, like from number 1 to number 8 in this case, and Rock Dust Lightstar would always be revolving down around the bottom of the list, and it's simply because this being a new album deal, the expectations from Jamiroquai were pretty high from both the record label and from the fans, the Jamily, and the album wasn't devoid of a lot of the great musical trademarks of Jamiroquai. The album Rock Dust Lightstar did have some very good songs on there, which had harkened back to the hallmarks of Jamiroquai songs, and some of the standout tracks are definitely Blue Skies, She's a Fast Persuader, and there's also the deluxe edition of this album was released. There was another leftover track that didn't make the track list of the final album. There's a song called Hang It Over, and it was just an amazing song. I mean, there was a couple more. The other bonus tracks on the deluxe edition were a live version of All Good in the Hood, and another leftover track called Angeline, which was, it was a song, and I can see why I didn't make it into the album track list consideration. But Rock Dust Lightstar had a great title track, though. A lot of fans did like the title track from Rock Dust Lightstar. It was a great song, lyrically really, really cool. But of course, Rock Dust Lightstar was not just plagued with being, conversationally speaking, a polarizing album. The out-of-the-gate promotions of this album by Universal Music, at least in the opinion of me and probably a bunch of my older hardcore members of the Jamily would completely agree with me. The album promotions of this album were very lackluster, and most notably because they were on Mercury Records under the Virgin EMI musical umbrella. But the promotions for this album were pretty terrible. At least for a band of the high pop mainstream significance that Jamiroquai was, you would think them going to a new record label, they would be rolling out the red carpet and promoting this thing like it's the next Radiohead album. But to give you an example of how lackluster the promotions of this album was, the album Rock Dust Lightstar was not released in the United States until a year after its release in 2011. We had to wait a year. And the album was not released with promotions, or there were promotions for this album, but they weren't of the level that we had seen what Jamiroquai had when they were at Sony. Sony was a massive worldwide record label, so the promotions around the world, when it came to their top tier artists like the Michael Jacksons and stuff like that, they were getting impeccable promotions. They were doing radio, television, everything you could think of to promote. But when they went to Universal Music, they kind of dialed it back. They dialed that promotions very, very strongly back. Yeah, they did promote in the European Union and the UK, but in Japan and the markets where they knew that Jamiroquai would be marketable. But here in the United States, they just didn't bother. They waited a year on, and then they released Roxas Lightstar on a vinyl record store day release. It didn't have a regular album release date. They didn't promote it as a release date. They just pigeonholed this album release from Jamiroquai as a record store day release, and that kind of really rubbed a lot of us Jamly members the wrong way, especially me. I thought that was not to curse, but very pussyfooted of them to just pigeonhole a Jamiroquai album release here in the United States, not thinking there was a market where Jamiroquai can sell here in the United States. But you know, there were several other things that happened after Rock Dust Lightstar that kind of could tell that the promotions of Jamiroquai was not being handled properly at Universal Music. The record just dropping more context about this album era. I just like putting context in these, looking back at these albums, so fans who are not familiar with this catalog know what happened. But there was the record label or subsidiary of Universal Music that was handling the Rock Dust Lightstar release here in the United States was a company called Executive Music Group. They would end up going out of business less than a year after the release of Rock Dust Lightstar in the United States. So there was obviously a lot of decision making being done at Universal Music, handling Jamiroquai not being done properly. So that's kind of why the record sales did not reflect. I mean, Universal Music picked up a big artist in Jamiroquai, and you know, a lot of conditions caused this album to really get knocked down a few pegs, and a lot of the Jamly members' remembrances of their favorite albums. But like I said, the album itself had a lot of the trademarks and hallmarks of Jamiroquai's sound, but it was kind of, for me, a mixed bag of an album. But like I said, there are some bright spots in this album, most notably Blue Skies, Lifeline, two completely different things. And she just had its moments, but it wasn't a full-fledged Jamiroquai album to me. It just felt like a mixed bag. But it still has some great songs in there, so it's definitely worth a revisit by members of the Jamly who want to see where Jamiroquai started when they signed to Universal Music back in 2007 and 8. But you know, they would end up redeeming themselves later on in 2017 with the release of Automaton, and Universal Music does deserve a lot of credit. Jamiroquai would end up leaving Mercury Records from within Universal Music between 2011 and 2017 and move to Virgin EMI under the Universal Music umbrella. And ultimately, Automaton spoke for itself. It was an amazingly promoted album, and they went a totally different approach with this album. They promoted this album heavily on social media, and not to mention concerts from the Automaton tour, which would end up going 3 years between 2017 and 2019. They would start live streaming concerts on Facebook. So they were making a lot of very smart decisions. They were promoting this album. Fans like us, fans like me, people in social media, we are the word-of-mouth apparatus of the Jamly. We really did help out a lot in helping the record label promote Automaton later on. But yeah, this has been a really fun series, going back and looking back at all, technically 9 albums of the Jamiroquai 27-year-long discography, and I hope you enjoyed these episodes. And as I said in the previous episodes, be sure to leave your feedback on what your thoughts of these albums are when you go back and listen to them to your own time, decades on after their release. Did you like them? Do you not like them? Are there songs you like or dislike? Have your tastes changed for any of the Jamiroquai albums? Please be sure to leave your respective feedback on each Jamiroquai album from each episode of the series, respectively, down in the YouTube comment section down below this video. I am most interested in reading all the feedback of my Jamly, fellow Jamly members on all of these Jamiroquai albums of this rich discography. And who knows where Jamiroquai will go on album 9, which will hopefully be starting to be composed and written starting at the end of 2019 and probably furtherance on till we see maybe a single or something sometime in 2020, maybe 2021. So that's being optimistic and conservative. But I hope you enjoyed the series. There, of course, will be more Jamiroquai Minutes and Jamiro Fan Talks About episodes hopefully coming very, very soon here on the channel. Where needed, when major news breaks, any more tour dates, anything happens with Jamiroquai, I'll definitely be doing a video here on the Jamiro Fan 2000 YouTube channel. Thank you for watching these videos. I hope you found some new information, some more insights in these videos. And please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on all the latest Jamiroquai videos here on the Jamiro Fan 2000 YouTube channel. Also, another reminder, be sure to ding the little bell on your YouTube so you can be emailed and notified of when new videos go up live here on my channel. Thank you again, everybody, for the support. Of course, we recently celebrated 500 subscribers here on YouTube, and the milestones keep coming for me here in the Jamily, and I thank you all very, very much from the bottom of this Buffalo Man Horned Heart. Thank you very much all for the support, and I'll see you again really soon with more Jamiroquai related videos here on the Jamiroquai Fan 2000 YouTube channel. Bye bye, everybody, and thank you for watching.